in 32 overs. Well, West Indies coach Shane Dietz revealed the adjustments made by player of the match, Kiana Joseph, dating back to the tough start she had to the previous tour.
England had really good plans for her in the T20, so we had to sit down and work out how she can combat that. And now we had a lot of sessions, a lot of hard work on her technique and getting her in better positions to combat how they were trying to bowl to her. And she fought back hard, and that shows a lot of mental toughness as well. And she played really well in England and brought that form here. And played great in the nets yesterday, and she was in good form. So good pitch for her to bat on. She put on a great display today.
Well, we're talking cricket, so Nikhil Uttamchandani, he joins us via Zoom to discuss. Well, Nikhil, a change. We have a win.
Right, it feels like a year ago that I last discussed a West Indies win on any front, any men, women, A-team, emerging team, but no, very comprehensive performance. Before I get into any analysis, can we have Ricardo Chambers calling out players more often? The guy did this at Ruston Chase. His career elevated. He's called out Kiana Joseph. Now she's got 2 back-to-back ODI 50s. Ricardo, can you call me out next? I wonder what's the
But he does that all the time, Nikhil. He calls you out every day. What's happening to you?
Well, I don't know. Maybe he needs to call me out more or on this platform. Anyways, look, it was great to see from the West Indies to get a win against a quality team. Let's not forget South Africa, albeit in a different format, have recently been to the T20 World Cup final with a lot of these players. For me, though, I know we're going to focus on Kiana Joseph a lot in the show, but for me, the bowlers won this game for the West Indies. This was the most complete bowling effort I've seen in a long time. The way that I found no one panicked, I don't know if it's the comfort of being back at home, but I thought at 47 for none after the first 10 and Brits and Wolvart going well, I thought it would have been a repeat of what we saw in England, where the 2 openers just get away and the West Indies struggle to break partnerships. But actually, it was quite the opposite. You look at the fact that they had 5 partnerships lasting more than 20 deliveries, and none of them, going beyond 75. So I thought everyone played their part in that bowling effort. But for me, overs 20 to 40 won the game for the West Indies. They squeezed South Africa, Ramarat, Fletcher, and Matthews. And not one single over in that period went for more than 7 runs. The discipline was fantastic. We need to see more of this.
Yeah, what's for sure is experience really, really reared its head in this bowling effort by the West Indies women. And what added to the entire, I would say the overall bowling effort, Nikhil, would have been what we saw on the field, because the youngsters, and I'm saying the youngsters because they were the one getting the job done in the field. Reliana Grimmon, for example, she was one of the players that effected the runouts and just really, really quick on the field. And I think that also played a massive part.
Look, for a number of years, Maria, the West Indies women's fielding has not been to a mark or measure as to where it needs to be. If you think back to the 2016 World Cup when they won, fielding was a big factor in that win. And I think one of the benefits of having such a young team with James, with Reliana Grimmon, with Glasgow, you have that, I think, exuberance of youth, and you can see it on the field, especially when they go through periods that they're on top of the game. The body language I thought was really good, the encouragement, and just the noise being made by a lot of those players on the field. I think it kept the West Indies locked in. And again, you have to really credit Ramarat and Fletcher. The pressure that they put, I go back to Tasman Brits and her dismissal. Ramarat bowled 4 deliveries to her before this one, and very disciplined on a good length, and forced her to then want to be aggressive and make a mistake. Look, she bowled the 20th over. I'm going to continue to say it. I personally would have liked to see her, even if it's just 1 over, I would have loved to see her maybe anywhere between the 10th and 20th, especially when you have Brits and her attacking prowess, but also how important she is to that batting lineup.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Nikhil, aside from the bowlers now, because I feel like we spoke about that, the batting, really, really, I have to say, good stuff from the ladies. And I'm saying that because it's one of the few times we're not dependent on a Hayley Matthews. Hayley did stand up at the top of the order, contributed. But many a times, once she's dismissed, I feel like if we don't get a contribution from Kiana Joseph, and remember, Kiana was actually hit during the match and she came off the field. Then we didn't even know if she was coming out to open. She, of course, did put up a good score. came out as player of the match. But I felt so good to even see contributions from other players like a Stefani Taylor. It was actually Steph's birthday yesterday too, so she gave us that present of that 30 runs. Happy to see that. And I just feel like once a couple of our women put on reasonable scores, we always have a better chance.
Yeah, certainly, Mariah. You want other people contributing consistently. I think this is where we credit Kiana Joseph, because it's the second time now in as many games that Hayley Matthews has been dismissed, and she's almost come down a few gears and found a better structure to her innings. I thought the way she set it up, going very hard in the power play, but then when Hayley Matthews was dismissed, just applying a bit more responsibility to ensure that, you know, when Reliana Grimond and Taylor came in, there was less pressure on them. You know, they knew that a set batter was at the other end. She still took her chances and capitalized on bad deliveries in the middle overs. And I thought she set up the game really well. I want to define what Shane Deets said at the beginning of the show. He's talking about England's plan to bowl outside the off-stump tour. And look, yesterday was probably the biggest improvement I've seen in Kiana Joseph, not only scoring and accessing the leg side. She hit exactly half her runs through the offside, one of those shots there, and then a few down the ground, which I thought were very impressive.
Yeah, very impressive indeed, and always good to see, because there is no doubt that she has the ability to hit the ball and hit it really well, but you won't be able to do that often if you're not staying out in the middle for long enough, and that was not being done for most of the England series. So it's good to see her applying herself a lot better in the last few matches. I want to zone in on Chanel Henry though, because she didn't bowl, and when you look at the manner in which she got out as well, run out, and I'm not saying she would have made it had she run through, but it almost seemed as if she gave up to me. And the question from my standpoint is, Nikhil, do you believe she's 100% fit? And if she is not, why not get her 100% fit before you bring her back into the team? I can understand with a Stefani Taylor when you're going into a tournament, but this is a home series against South Africa, and I don't think even at 80-85% you should be risking someone as important as Chanel Henry at this stage. Your thoughts?
Yeah, just because before we address Chanel Henry, Ricardo, Kiana Joseph, right, based on your point with her fitness, I want to say, look, she's got immense ability, but this is now the third time she's gotten past 16 ODI cricket and is yet to convert into 100. And if this is not a signal, exactly what you've been saying, to Kiana Joseph, to realize this potential and work on these aspects of her game, then I don't know what will be. But the ingredients are there for a star player in the future. She just needs to maybe work on a few areas of her fitness. But I want to go to that Chanel Henry dismissal. I don't know if we have the footage to show the viewers, but there was a few things that caught me by surprise. Obviously, at the end of the run, this is the Joseph dismissal, but at the end of the run, you could see that there was no dive, there was no acceleration to get to the crease. But I found it quite interesting at the beginning of the run, when it was her call because it was behind square, she wasn't backing up. She was just standing there when the bowler delivered and then took off. There was hesitancy, then she took off. So I thought that was a bit disappointing, because even if she's not 100%, I thought the backup and just a few steps out of the crease would have helped her, you know, make up a few more steps and some ground. But in terms of what I saw yesterday from her, she's definitely not 100%. The fact that she's not bowling is one. You could see in the running between the wickets gingerly, but I don't know if they felt you rather have her experience than not have it at all. But I think I'd agree with you. In a bilateral series, when you know you're not going to be in the next major event, I think Chanel Henry's importance is too much to the West Indies to risk an injury. Obviously, I'm assuming that she would have gone through the requisite test, but I don't know if maybe she's fully fit, but, you know, the psychological battle of not wanting to put in everything coming off the injury and is there, but definitely not even backing up, then slowing up when she got to the crease. It was very weird and surprising.
Yeah, and if we could get that replay again, because you'll be able to see at the, well, not the replay, if we can get it again, you'll be able to see that her initial movement was of an athlete who is not sure that if I get out too quickly, my body will hold up. That's sort of what I saw, that she was reluctant to, let me say, get out of the block. Look at that. Look at those initial steps. I don't know if she was hesitant to go for the run, but because there was no acceleration of any significance, then I have to think that she is favoring something or feeling something. And I just think that in a situation like that, Nikhil, she probably should not have played this game until she was 100%.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Ricardo. I think you're spot on.
Yeah. How about Stefani Taylor? She looked pretty good yesterday. I was impressed with her knock. The experience that she brought to the middle as well in marshalling the batting unit to that 51 from 52 deliveries. And it was good to see her finally getting some runs as well. And unlike Chanel Henry, Stefani Taylor looked the fittest I have seen in a while. She was running between the wickets quite comfortably, and I thought that was very good to see.
Yeah, she was active in the field as well. I thought this is probably the best we've seen of Stefani Taylor since coming off the big injury. And I saw an interview with her before the series started, and just to see her smiling again, talking about being back in the Caribbean, talking about being back in Barbados, which is a special place for her. I think she's, body-wise, she's always been fit and athletic, but obviously she's had constraints with a number of injuries over her career, in recent times at least. So it's great to see that someone that is so important to the West Indies, you think about the next T20 World Cup at the end of the year, you really want to find every way possible of getting Stefani Taylor fit and ready. I love that she was unbeaten and was able to make sure the runs and winning runs were hit without giving it away. I would have loved to see what would have happened had the West Indies and had a full game, because I thought the South African spinners were just beginning to squeeze. They had just taken a wicket, 127 for 4 in the 26th over. I thought it could have been very interesting. And as Mariah said earlier, usually the trend has been when Hayley Matthews and Joseph are dismissed, there's a collapse. So I would have loved to see had it been much different. But again, when you're chasing a small total and the rain comes, it usually tends to favor the chasing side. And look, good for them to get the win.
Yeah, Nikhil, in the past couple of minutes, we've discussed the injury issues with Chanel Henry and Stefani Taylor. Any news on Deandra Dottin and the likelihood of her getting back into international cricket soon?
Well, last I heard, she was rehabbing in Canada, so I'm not sure. Obviously, she's not ready yet. From my understanding, I think the aim is for her to, try to play the T20Is, and if not, then be ready for the Women's CPL. The dates were announced today, and remember, she missed the first 2 Women's CPL games last year. So maybe it's a case of them focusing on the T20 format and letting her work her way back in, given that the World Cup is at the end of the year. But yeah, I'm looking at the pieces that they have now, the 2 openers firing, Taylor in the middle looking back to herself, the bowling improving, and I just think Deandra Dottin, wow, that really adds another dimension to a decent team.
Yeah, don't be too quick, Nikhil, on some of those pronouncements, but I won't get into all of that now.
No, I expect fully South Africa to come back. I fully expect them to come back.
Would you make any changes for that second game on Saturday?
Given that the wins have been so hard to come by, I would say no, don't change the winning formula.
Would you make any changes, Mariah?
No, of course not.
The only change I would make, panel, is to get Karishma Ramarat bowling earlier. Why, Mariah, can you find out if she's just afraid of any over before the 20th?
Trust me, I've asked.
Why is she not bowling?
It's nothing to do with her. She is somebody who believes she will do what the coach and her captain ask her to do. I asked Nikhil, don't worry.
Oh, I thought she just wouldn't tell you anything about what's going on inside.
She doesn't, but I mean, this is a personal thing, and she would have seen the show, and she saw Nikhil asking as well. And from time to time, she'd ask me, what do we think? And I said, well, the only thing that was said on the show is that you should bowl earlier. Is it that you don't want to bowl earlier? And she said, I would do what the captain and coach says to me. So she's that type of
When
player.
I see Haley/Shane Dietz later this year, I will be asking them, surely. I'll give SportsMax the exclusive.
All right. Thank you, Nikhil, as always. We enjoy having you on the show, and we'll talk to you soon again.
Hold on. Why later this year, Nikhil? Aren't you in Barbados now?
No, I'm not in
He
Barbados.
probably is in Jamaica for all you know, with the jet
for one
that
of
he
those quick trips.
I'm not in Jamaica either.
Where are you, Canada?
I've seen Sabina Park already.
Canada?
I'm actually in San Francisco.
Florida?
Awaiting the
San
start
Francisco.
of Major League. Yeah,
Okay.
Major League cricket.
That was going to be my next guess.
Okay.
Are you checking out the pitch there too?
Yes, actually, at the Auckland Coliseum.
Oh, really? Did you help to water it?
Do y'all have to get to a break or some of your producers? I'm sure, like, you have many other segments or.
Yeah,
Nikhil,
it is break time.
have a great evening, okay? Talk soon.
Thank you, guys.